Hi everyone, my name is Tahlia Trevino and I studied marine biology at UC Santa Barbara in California, and I'm a senior at Montrose High School. So I studied marine biology at the Miller Lab under Bob Miller and Kristen Michaud, who was my mentor. My studies included drone surveys, benthic photo dives and identification, the traits lab, dolphin and seal disease research, and much more. I also attended lectures and labs with other college students on the marine ecosystems. So we would have a lecture in the morning, and then later that day we would have a lab for about 3 hours, going out into the field and doing field work. So the majority of what I studied was benthic dives and identification. So you take a very large camera that weighs about like 100 pounds, and then you dive down 50 to 80 meters and take photos of different transects, which are different places that are identified to take pictures and do other scientific research. So then we use the pictures to collect data on this website called Wiki, and you identify a bunch of different species from kelp to fish, to find out their percentage of abundance and how they affect the seafloor. Okay. Next part was the traits lab. So this was studying kelp and the species that live on it. So it was a very meticulous process. We had to go and collect the kelp in the ocean, and then we brought it back, and then we had to take little tweezers and pry off little animals that lived on them, which took a long time because sometimes you can't see them until later on. And then you take the kelp and then you scan the kelp and send parts of it off to read for DNA. Some of the other stuff I did was seal and dolphin disease research. Unfortunately, when I arrived in Santa Barbara, there was a bacteria that was harming the majority of seals and dolphins along the coast there. And so I participated in investigations, as you can see in this picture. So we would measure them and collect blood samples from them to test it to see what was hurting their ability to live. I also participated, as I was saying, in labs. We went to a bunch of different salt marshes, beaches, all around Santa Barbara and both north and south of Santa Barbara to collect different data samples from all across the coast. Some life applications. So this network called Quivi, we're trying to make it to automatically identify different species so people don't have to manually do it because it is very tedious and a lot of work. My research is also work on LTR, which is the long-term ecological research project that views the long-term effects of different ecosystems and how they change. There's LTR projects all across the United States. This one was specifically in Santa Barbara on marine life. Surprising things I learned about all the various species and their scientific names, and also how to memorize them very quickly. Also how to collect scientific data, and how marine biology lectures in that labs look like. I also learned about how diseases affect various ecosystems. Okay, yeah. Fun outside my internship. So Santa Barbara is a very, where I lived is called Isla Vista. It's outside of Santa Barbara, but it's a very big college town with a bunch of college kids living there. There's not really any other people living there, it's just college kids. So there was a lot of activities that we could do. I went paddleboarding, did a lot of beach volleyball, walks, hikes, shopping. Downtown Santa Barbara is absolutely beautiful. They have a lot of shops down there. We also went diving a lot, just for fun, and to see a bunch of different species out there, which was really fun. We also did dorkling, which is why I'm hanging upside down off the boat. Where you stick your head outside of the boat and you watch underneath you because a bunch of dolphins were swimming underneath us. I also went to the butterfly sanctuary in Santa Barbara, and that was very beautiful because there were a lot of monarchs there at the time. So living on my own, I did not live with any other interns. I also didn't live with a host family. I lived on my own in an apartment with other college students that I did not know before I arrived. The apartment was a filthy mess, so my parents and I had to clean it from like top to bottom until it was able to live. The refrigerators had a bunch of mold, and it was so disgusting. So we had to throw the majority of this food out because it was absolutely disgusting. It was very unfortunate, but we were able to work together, and I think it helped me to bond with my roommates, and they were actually such great people, and they would drive me around if I needed to go anywhere, and they were super nice, so. Advice for future Pinterns, stay busy in your free time. Where you're going, it's a big city, there's a lot to do. Try new things. So I was able to swim with great white sharks, free dive, which was really scary, and I did not want to do it at first because I was like, oh, they're gonna eat me. But turns out they did not eat me. So your mentors and people in your lab know what they're doing, so just trust them. And then don't be afraid to ask questions for an opportunity. They're always free to have your input and everything, so yeah. Oh, and then a special thanks to everyone who helped me with this internship.